Hello there, is that time on TVC where we talk business. Let's look at the big stories now. Of course, you've heard that GDP, that's Nigeria's gross domestic product, declined to 1.94% in the second quarter of 2019. That's representing a 0.16 percentage points lower than the 2.10 recorded in the first quarter of the year. Despite Swiss reinsurance forecast of that's in global 2018, global premiums to rise by 4.0% in 2018 and 2019 at 0.3%. Nigeria still ranks low in insurance penetration level compared to South Africa, Kenya, Angola, and Egypt. On the international market, Brent crude sells for $58.62 per barrel. In the OPEC basket, crude dealers offer $60.11 per barrel. On the show today, we'll briefly look at Nigeria's gross domestic product. That's the figures coming in. And of course, the bigger one is insurance penetration and the level in Nigeria. I have the right person to talk about that. He's in the studio. Welcome to Business Nigeria. Nigeria's GDP declined to 1.94% in the second quarter of 2019. This represents a 0.16 percentage points lower than the 2.10% recorded in the first quarter of the year. That's according to the latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics. The GDP grew year on year in real terms when compared to quarter 2 2018, which recorded a growth of 1.50%, an increase of 0.44 percentage points. The aggregate GDP stood at 34.94 million naira in nominal terms, an increase of 13.83% over the performance in the second quarter of 2018 and 9.8% over the preceding quarter. The oil sector recorded a real growth rate of 5.15% year on year in quarter 2 2019, contributing 8.82% to total real GDP in quarter 2 of 2019. In quarter 2 2019, Nigeria recorded average daily oil production of 1.98 million barrels per day, slightly less than output recorded in quarter 1 of 2019. The non-oil sector grew by 1.64% in real terms during the reference quarter. Well, let's talk to our Chief Executive Officer of Cowrie Assets Management Limited, Mr. Johnson Chukwu. Mr. Johnson Chukwu, welcome back to Nigeria.
Thank you, Tony.
I'm very sure you've seen this report. Our GDP declining to 1.94%. Was this what you were expecting?
Yes, interestingly, I had actually predicted that we should have a GDP print come at a print of about 1.9, between 1.9 and 1.95%. That was even a prediction I gave somebody, one of your colleagues today evening, that the GDP would certainly decline in the second quarter of this year.
So now, what do you see about the breakdown? There's increase in crude oil production. We have non-oil exports standing at 1.64%. What do you make of this breakdown, these figures, if we go down into sectorial allocations?
For me, it's an opportunity for the managers of those who are turning the economy to have a reappraisal of the economic policies of the country. If you look at the GDP performance in the second quarter, you disaggregate between the oil and gas sector and non-oil and gas sector. The oil and gas sector was the only one that actually propelled the growth we saw. You had readily pointed out that the non-oil sector grew by only 1.64%. And the emphasis of the government actually is on the non-oil and gas sector, because that's the sector that will drive employment. Look at the sectors, the non-oil and gas subsectors. Agriculture grew by just about 1.79%. Look at manufacturing. Manufacturing actually contracted by 0.3%. Look at construction, it grew by only 0.67%. And these are virtually all the drivers of the economy. Manufacturing, remember, accounts about 90% of the GDP. Look at trade accounts more than 20% of the GDP. It's also contracted. So the key sectors of the economy that will drive economic growth are contracted, or most of them contracted. And that's why we're seeing a slowdown in the GDP growth rate from more than 2.4% in the first quarter, 2.1% in the first quarter to just 1.94% in the second quarter.
Okay, let's round this up this way now. What's your message? Managers of the economy, ministers, they're set to get the ball rolling. Many of them have started visiting sites. Power Minister, Niger Delta, we see all of them rolling into action. What do you expect? Revenue generation. Minister of Finance has talked about that. What are your projections? What should be the quick wins?
Well, unfortunately for us, I don't think there are too many low-hanging fruits that will crystallize into third-quarter performance. But there are medium-term measures that we could do to reset the economy, one of which is to look at the benefits or otherwise of the subsidy scheme and free the resources that we are currently spending on subsidy, which amounts to close to 1.2 trillion naira, and use it for infrastructure development that will support the critical sectors of the economy, like the manufacturing sector, trade sector, construction industry. And we need to completely, for me, as far as I'm concerned, we need to recalibrate the economic policy of the government.
Mr. Johnson Chukwu, thank you very much, Chief Executive Officer, Cowrie Assets Limited, for joining us. We'll break this down more on the show tomorrow, just talking about those GDP figures and the impact on Nigerians. All Nigerians want is food on their table. Moving on now, 60% of the 50 engineers that took part in the Smart Electrical Engineering training of the Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board have secured employment. During the presentation of certificates at the Lagos Energy Academy, Executive Secretary of the NCDMB, Simbi Wabote, says training, job creation and employment reflects the cardinal policy thrust of the NCDMB. Details in this report.
The Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board has adopted a 60-20-20 approach as a model to ensure 60% employment, 20% to enhance the capacity of the employed, and another 20% for routine training. 50 engineers took part in the Smart Electrical Engineering training organized by the NCDMB at the Lagos Energy Academy.
We selected 50 of you for the training, and I'm happy that 50 of you graduated without a single dropout. The reports of your performance show that all of you passed your test and that you have now had your international certificate by Siemens.
The Simbi Wabote-led NCDMB is changing the narrative in line with the cardinal policy thrust of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration in terms of job creation and employment.
The program itself has achieved 60% job placement rate, with employment secured in AOS Orwell, Daystar Power Group, Oakswell, Jibilali Bros, and PNN, amongst others. We also achieved export of talents as international job placements have been secured with BIC Electrical for 4 of the trainees.
Testimonies abound from the successful trainees of the program.
Without NCDMB, we wouldn't have been here in LEA to have this wonderful opportunity. I want to thank you to everyone, especially thank you to our facilitators. They took us through 4 months in class, room, and then practical, and then we went for OJT.
The experience is so massive. I would like to say this opportunity that was given to us, I will not take it for granted because it's a lifetime opportunity.
The NCDMB has developed a 10-year strategic roadmap to increase the Nigerian content in the oil and gas sector from 30 to 70% within the next 10 years. Ovieteme George, TVC News, Lagos.
Nigeria's insurance sector is still one of the most underdeveloped compared to other climes. With a population estimated at 200 million, the potential growth in the sector is significant. Now, at 0.3%, Nigeria has the lowest insurance penetration level compared to South Africa, which is pegged at 14.7%, Kenya at 2.8%, while Angola and Egypt penetration level is at 0.8 and 0.6%, respectively. That's according to reports from, 2018 reports. Now, in 2018 and 2019, global premiums are forecast to rise 4.0% in each year, according to projections by Swiss Re Swiss, I beg your pardon. At optimal state, industry gross premium should be comparable to overall consumption expenditure in the economy. Since insurance is a risk mitigating strategy at the end of 2018, industry gross domestic gross premium increased by 15.79% to 345.16 billion naira. That's from 298 billion naira in December 2017. Now, joining me live in the studio is Mr. Gboyega Olabiwoninu. He is the head business development, Skip Nigeria and Co. Limited. He doubles as the chairman, insurance group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you for your time, Mr. Gboyega.
It's a privilege.
Let's start this way. How would you rate the insurance sector, the penetration in Nigeria, in your terms? You are a player in this sector. What's your assessment?
Well, basically, I would like to look at it from two sides of a coin, because life generally is about those two sides of the coin. And I would rather look more on the opportunities therein than the challenges, because the challenges are there. Basically, in terms of the insurance penetration in Nigeria, what you found is that it's less than 1%, or some say 1%. And this can be deduced from the fact that currently in the Nigerian insurance market, just about 3 million people have insurance policy of the 200 million people, so to say, as far as the population is concerned. And there you can just deduce the percentage proportion. And basically, what's responsible for that for me and most of the practitioners in this market, the key word there, the key challenge there is the fact that there is no enforcement as far as the laws are concerned. And I'll just take a typical example. You are on the Nigerian roads about 11.5 to 12 million vehicles plying Nigerian roads. And out of these, just about 3 million are insured. And this is talking about third party. You are talking about 25% of the total population of motor vehicles in Nigeria, meaning from every 10 vehicles on the road, just about 2 actually insured. And what is the cost of a third party with a liability of 1 million should a problem occur? So you'll find out that, government is not adequately enforcing the law compared to what you find in Europe, North American and American Asian countries.
So government really has a role to play in making this work when they make sure that it is compulsory that your cars are insured, properties are insured. I think people will key into this. But how well are the insurance company also making Nigerians believe that they will get value for money?
Okay, well, very good question. For example, in the year 2018, the year just ended, total claims paid was about 150 billion naira. I mean, that's huge compared to premium earnings of about 320, 330 for the same year. And what that means is that generally, as far as insurance is concerned in Nigeria, in terms of creating value, in terms of giving peace to the people, payment of claims on time, there's been significant improvement, and that also shows in the number. For example, like the numbers, like the figures that have just been rolled out when you are making the presentation, we've improved from a 1-digit growth to a double-digit growth in terms of the gross premium. But again, this is still very, very inadequate compared to the potentials inherent in Nigeria. And talking about what have we been doing as far as the practitioner is concerned in terms of creating awareness. Very recently, Nigerian Insurance Association, the umbrella body, with Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, set up a team. And part of what the team looked at is to look at the market development restructuring initiative set up by NICOM. NICOM is the governing body, set up in 2010, to look at how do we improve on the retail side of it. Because what you find generally in Europe and in America that, increase their penetration is the fact that an average person, have insurance policy, talking about the individual people. So we're looking at a strategy we call osmosis strategy, meaning that we are moving from the concentrated area, which is more of corporate, to the retail side of the business, where we can actually improve on that performance. And again, one of the things we also looked at is, creating marketing communication mix strategy, talking about advertising, personal selling, marketing, and public relations, because the bane of these challenges and issues really is just about the education and awareness, coupled with the fact that government is not actually also enforcing the law.
So we're almost identifying key issues affecting that industry already.
Absolutely.
What more are we looking at to get the sector where we're supposed to be?
Okay, one of the things that, that also been advocated, by the federal government and of course by the regulating body is the Central Board of Nigerian Financial Services Strategy, created in 2020, for 2020 actually, that's the timeline. And what is it set out to do? Is to be able to look at financial services where insurance also play and create some strategy around it to ensuring that, one, what I've talked about in terms of creating awareness, then two, also looking at government, various agencies of the government to ensure that the law is enforced. And I'll give a typical example. In Lagos, for example, now, you see local government guys selling what they would refer to as Olokpaje Nkoja, meaning the police allow me make I pass, and it's fake. So what government is doing now is to look at how we can create some data bank around it. And you've seen that it's an allows that when you move past a particular reader, they flag you and say, hey, guy, what you have is not a genuine license. And that's, I'm sure, if we can replicate that across the entity of the country, we should be able to set aside these hoodlums and be able to get the real professionals and the guys that are actually playing on the field, and by those increase the penetration level.
That's a big one. Now, I look at this insurance sector as where we can get money. The country can even, a lot of investments can come from this. Because I see even your shares, insurance sectors, as at this morning, I think they were doing well. Yeah. Some insurance companies are really doing very well. So what are the plans? Let's look at plans for growth if we had to project.
Okay, excellent. And that's why I started by saying that I rather look at it from the side of opportunities than the side of challenges, because we want to be champion as far as we are concerned. Currently, I think we have about 30,000 Nigerians employed within the industry. And if we set, and so if we get right the MDRI, and of course the CBN, FSS I've just mentioned, the two of them, if we get it right working, what it means is that on the average, we should be able to increase job opportunities, employment opportunities from 30,000 to 100,000, and in doing this, basically, like I also did mention, is that retail is actually the way forward. And that's why I talked about the marketing communication mix, to be able to create that awareness, to, not only creating awareness, but also to present some testimonials of the things we've done, because Nigeria would like to see value for what they are buying. I'm
going to ask you this question. It's a layman's question. And somebody actually sent it to me, and I want to ask you. Hey, they're talking about, they say many people believe that they have challenges when they have accidents with their cars, they got claims, or there's an incident, fire. They say they always have challenges when it comes to getting their funds. I don't know. I've had people that have had issues and they get their cars back, they get money. How true is that, Mr. Guega? How seamless is this process?
Well, it's very interesting, and when we go for conferences and events, you see people talk about the fact that, hey, I'm not satisfied with the insurance people in this country, and we ask them, do you have an insurance policy? And they begin to scratch their head. Now, what you really found out in the marketplace is that some of this information, in quote, may not be able to be, validated. But that is why we have the Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers. And what we've said there is that if you go through a broker who is that professional, like the lawyer, that is cool to deliver those solutions, you can't have this kind of a problem. That is not going to happen. And that's why if you check with the corporate organizations, you will have a different story to tell. They will tell you about the promptness of claims payment. They will tell you about, the delivery in terms of efficient service for the products they bought. You can't get this kind of claim. But what I would just like to put on the table is that should you have a person at that time available, an end of the brokers can also be consulted. The Nigeria Council of Registered Insurance Brokers is there to provide those solutions.
I think I also need more. I also like to get myself insured, get my family insured, and get all everybody and tap into this big market. And also your shares, that's also important for us to look into. Thank you. Well, what's your message to younger ones in the insurance sector that are coming up? They need hope. I think some institutions now even offer insurance as a course. So
Yes,
what's your advice to them?
Well, my advice to them is simple. It is a market space with huge opportunities, because if you are talking about 1% penetration, even as of now, what that means is that there is huge opportunities that is out there. And the fact also remains that, you know, we are working on several things that I'm sure we crystallize even as we go on down the lane. And by the time they will be coming on board, bringing their own intellect and the things they've learned, I'm sure it will be a win-win situation for everybody.
Great, giving insights into the insurance sector. I've been speaking with Mr. Gboyega Olabiwoninu. He is the head business development, Skip Nigeria Co. Limited, and also Double Cap. He is the chairman of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. That's this insurance group of that very old chamber, the biggest chamber, I think, in the world. Is it in the world or in Nigeria?
In Nigeria, and second in Africa.
Second in Africa. Thank you so much, Mr. Gboyega, for your time again. Well, let's take a break. And when we return, I think we'll be going to the market. But we have more for you, of course, after this break. Let's just don't go away. It's your business, Nigeria. Glad to have you back. Now, I have feeds live from the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, where my colleague, Effiong Ekop, is standing by. Hello, Ekop. Were we able to hold on to the positive gains of trading yesterday?
Yes, second time this week, and we are trading in the positive territory and closing up there. The 0.08%, that's the performance of the index. And we had the likes of Cornerstone Insurance, Continental Reinsurance, Mutual Benefit, EcoBank. You could say that the financial subsector, especially insurance markets, they benefited from today's trade. So the Osha index climbing 0.08%, you know, the interpretation is that there has been improvement in the stock prices of several securities. And so investments of some shareholders, they have actually increased. And that's what we've been praying for in the past few months.
Let me come. Coincidentally, we've been discussing insurance in the studio here and trying to see how we can tap into that very big market, take advantage of the opportunities therein. And now you're saying that stocks in that sector is also playing out on the positive side at the exchange. What are these companies doing right?
You know, the insurance market is not really very popular with the citizens, except that we wake up to that sector. And what is going on now is the sector, there is, you know, regulatory information or order that many of the insurance companies should recapitalize. That is, beef up their capital basis and be energized. And so this is why many of them are coming to the stock market to, you know, raise some funds. But the reaction of the public is what really worries us, because here in the market, we call many of the insurance companies penny stocks because they are not commanding high value on their resources. And so we think that there would be a turnaround where investors or even the ordinary citizens would be able to buy into insurance securities. That's what we have for now.
Thank you very much, my colleague there live from the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Effiong Ekop, bringing us up to speed with the trading pattern for the day. Before we go, let's tell you that crude oil prices trade mixed at international market early on Tuesday, as West Texas intermediate crude oil price is currently testing support and might be due for a bounce back to resistance at $56 per barrel. The London market Brent crude sells for $58.62 per barrel. The OPEC basket brand dealers offer $60.11 per barrel. That's our show. Thank you very much for watching. Let's see you tomorrow, same time. We'll continue the discussion. Enjoy the rest of your day.